Good morning, everyone. We're continuing the Pesicha of the CHOFETZ CHAIM to his epic work of CHOFETZ CHAIM, and he writes like this: V'gam iker she'iker sibas yevidas Yisrael l'mitzvah ha'isen l'chachil ha'yidei zeh. If you think about it, says the CHOFETZ CHAIM, you'll realize that the main reason and cause of why the Jewish people ended up in Egypt for 400 years of slavery was because of Lashon HaRa. Like it says in the Torah, Yosef HaTzadik would watch his brothers. He thought they were doing the wrong things, and he came and he brought dibasim, he brought words about them, which is being interpreted over here as Lashon HaRa. He brought it back to his father. And as a result of this, it was decreed upon him measure for measure from the heavens, that he was going to be sold as an eved, as a slave. Yosef himself called his brothers avadim, he called them slaves, and therefore it was decreed upon him that he was going to become a slave. Even though that there are those that would like to explain that Yosef was entitled to give over these words to his father, he was concerned about his brother's activities, and therefore there's to'elis, there's benefit over there. Maybe the father can help them return from their improper ways. Nevertheless, you see that it didn't help, first of all, because still the whole story took place the way that it did, and therefore there really was no heter, there was no real permissibility for Yosef to say over what he said about his brothers. So Yosef spoke Lashon HaRa, his brothers got upset with him, they sell him as a slave into Egypt, and the whole story of our galus, of the exile into Egypt, begins with the sin of Lashon HaRa. But more than that, kol sibas galuseinu atu ha'ikr, the main reason why we still find ourselves in galus and exile for 2,000 years, rak bishvil ma'isa meraglim, is because of the meraglim, is the sin of the spies. K'moshe Kosev, like it says, Vayisa Yodalem Lahapil Zoroisam Ba'aratzais. The Meraglim, they use their mouths and their tongues in the wrong way. K'moshe Perish Rashi Sham, like Rashi explains. V'chein Kosev Ramban B'chumish B'parshas Meraglim. The Ramban writes this also, V'amru Ba'erechin, and it says in the Gemara, She'ikr Chet Meraglim Hayu Lashon HaRa. The main sin of the Meraglim, of the spies, was Lashon HaRa. They went into the land of Israel. They came back to the Jewish people, and what did they say? Even after they said all these nice things, they said Ephes, however, and then they spoke very scathing Lashon HaRa about the land of Eretz Yisrael, which you cannot do. Shoitziu dibal haaretz, they said bad things about Eretz Yisrael. And then the Jewish people began crying. And as it says over there in Chazal, they cried for no reason. Nigzar alayim bechil, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I will make crying for all generations. You cried for no reason for the Lashon HaRa that you heard. I'll give you something to cry about, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's so many terrible things that happened to the Jewish people as a result of this very strict and harsh sin of Lashon HaRa. Ki gam kol chachma Yisrael shenagu b'Meishim ben Shatach Gisa shel Yanai HaMelech ha'yidei Yanai HaMelech killed all the chachamim. It was hayugam ken al yidei rechilas, because of tale bearing that he heard kedisa b'kedushin, like it says in the Gemara Ayin Sham. V'ariga satana Rabbi Eliezer ha'maydoi shayugam ken siba l'chorban Beitar, and this the killing of Rabbi Eliezer ha'maydoi, which itself was the cause that brought about the destruction in the city of Beitar. Gam kain al yidei rechilas, came from tale bearing. Sherechilu alav livnei ben kaizeva kedisa b'midrash Eicha, like it says in the midrash in Eicha, and you'll see that they ended up speaking tale bearing rechilas Lashon HaRa, and that itself brought about his murder, which brought about the destruction of the city of Beitar, which is one of the greatest chorbanos, destructions and killings of Klal Yisrael. Says the CHOFETZ CHAIM, do you see how bad this sin is? The sin is so bad that it's created our galus in the exile in Mitzrayim. It created all of the wandering in the wilderness 40 years. It's created the galus, the exile that we find ourselves in 2,000 years later. And therefore, how could a person not spend the appropriate amount of time every day, be'ez Hashem, to the best of our abilities, to learn the laws of Lashon HaRa, to protect ourselves, save ourselves, and turn back the the wheels, so to speak, of time, and find a rectification to the sin that brought us into this galus, and in that zechusim Yetz Hashem, be zeicha to the Geula Shleima, b'mheira v'yameinu. Have a wonderful day.